Okay. H.A. Wilson is H.A. Wilson, 1887 to 1974, lives 87 years. The philosopher, a great discovery? Question mark. I first heard of him at university when I was 20 years old. Is Wilson comparable to the philosopher G.W.F. Hegel, 1770 to 1831, lived 61 years? Both of them wrote many books or notebooks. It seems both of them would belong to continental philosophy. There is a Hegel prize. There's a Hegel Prize in philosophy, but I'm not aware of a Wolfson Prize in philosophy, except a British one by another philanthropist in for history. Should his alma mater, Harvard University, the place where he also did decades of research, have created a Wilson Prize? Question mark. Really, the biggest prize in philosophy is the Bergerion Prize, which gives $1 million US. It was created recently. I think Charles Taylor was the first one to get it a few years ago, around 2016, 2017. Charles Taylor received the prize among many others philosophy, theology prizes. I think he also got the Templeton Prize, the Kyoto Prize. Charles Taylor I saw him once at homecoming at McGill University. Hegel and Wolfson both wrote a lot on metaphysics. The latter may have had a career that was 20 years longer than Hegel, since he lived much longer. Wolfson mostly covered the philosophy from Plato and Aristotle to Descartes and Spinoza, as I said. It is interesting that Hegel said that all philosophy begins with Spinoza, and Wolfson said that philosophy ended with Spinoza. So do they agree or disagree? Question mark. It's interesting. Louis Hegel wrote his three-volume History of Philosophy. It began from before Plato and until his own time. He praised Aristotle as the greatest philosopher who ever lived. He praised Aristotle as the greatest philosopher who ever lived. Really, Hegel didn't include the proofs of the philosophers in the history. Many medieval philosophers are also very highly praised Aristotle. So did Kant and Charles Darwin, etc. But it does not seem that Hegel got truly involved with the ancient and medieval metaphysical arguments in those three volumes, as I said. On the other hand, Wilson gives the arguments, objections, and counter-arguments of 2,000 years of metaphysics up to Spinoza. He does mention Kant in a few articles. That that is true metaphysics, even if there were no consensus. A war still took place, whether there is a clear winner or not. Surely we can learn a lot from many debates, learn a lot from so many debates over such a long time. Wilson's works can be labeled in many ways. Are all these books really all these really a new commentary on Aristotle? Question mark, or a commentary on Maimonides? Question mark. Many key figures of the medieval age were followers or they were critics of Aristotle. Even the last work, which was on Spinoza, he said that Spinoza was aware of earlier philosophies and he reorganized their views to form his new philosophy. Mainly in the book called The Ethics. One of my professors called the Ethics a bottomless pit, so he hardly mentioned it or taught it. Anyway, it is important. It is anyway. This Immanuel Kant, who may be the greatest of all critics of metaphysics who ever lived. Many consider him to be the greatest modern philosopher. Hegel tried to refute Kant and save metaphysics, perhaps mainly in his huge work, The Science of Logic. But Hegel really wanted to start from nothing, as was common in the modern age. It seems Wilson wanted us to resume the path of metaphysics that was abandoned in the modern age, starting with Descartes. In the, in the two Jewish Talmuds, the Palestinian and Babylonian Talmuds, There are debates of the rabbis on every page on legal matters based on the 5 chapters of Moses. In those days, books were divided to several books, and these books were divided into small chapters. For example, small books like for Aristotle, today we call them chapters, not books. In his Mishnah Torah or the Code, Maimonides tried to settle all these debates. He also did a more careful philosophical analysis of the principles and laws of Judaism or any religion later. I mean, in his The Guide of the Perplexed, many Jews consider him the second Moses. By analogy, maybe in the postmodern age, Wolfson created a metaphysical Talmud, and what we need is someone to resolve these very complicated metaphysical debates. Wolfson included Jewish, Christian, and Muslim or Islamic philosophy. Analytic philosophers ignore these important questions as confusions of language. Really, Wittgenstein once said he read Kant's Critique of Pure Reason and could not understand it. That's a bit surprising, but it's a very difficult work. Kant did argue that many logical errors in metaphysics arose by linguistic confusions, but he gave the arguments and revealed the errors or assumptions made, so it may be possible to revise the arguments or add an additional logical step. In all the arguments of psychology, cosmology, and theology, the error was confusing the idea or series in time, phenomena, and the one outside time, noumena. The ideal added the error of the ontological proof. Kant's philosophy, but after Kant's philosophy, Hegel, who was influenced by Spinoza and Fichte, argued that Kant must be praised for using dialectic, but he did not go far enough. Hegel says Kant had conflicts in the antinomies of pure reason, since he used the faculty of understanding. This faculty is for experience, where one can use Aristotle's syllogistic logic. Critique of Hegel, 1770 to 1831, lived 61 years. Really, Kant did try to use the faculty of reason, not only the faculty of understanding, since it is the latter that draws the conclusion and gives the unconditioned. You had to break the law of causality for that, but Kant argued that the faculty of understanding cannot allow that, since the law is necessary to organize our perceptions into experience, which he argued in the transcendental analytic of the faculty of understanding. Praise of Kant, 1724 to 1804, lived about 80 years. He was still working on a book when he died. This is very complicated, but the faculty of reason may be outside time, so the law of causality may be broken there, allowing free will. However, it is resulting in contradictions in the cosmological antinomies. Really, Fichte spoke of dialectic, but in the third antimony, Kant used a very similar method before Fichte. He proved antithesis, and he did a synthesis later. Free will was possible if we exist in time but act outside of time, according to Kant. Kant had three faculties, since a proof involved three propositions, a major premise or law, if then B. This was the faculty of understanding, a judgment A, and this was the faculty of judging, and a conclusion B. This was the faculty of reason. And more precisely, if the series of conditions is given, then so is the unconditioned. The series of conditions is given from experience. Hence, the unconditioned is given. But Kant says this is fallacious. Now, the unconditioned could not be given if reason is a faculty outside time. I mean, the instantaneous, not unchanging. Since Kant proved that in the Transcendental Analytic that the law of causality cannot be broken for a causal series in time, but here the causal series is broken to reach and conditioned for the first cause. Einstein went far beyond Kant in one way by proving that the causal series is also in time beyond the mind. So now the series can be infinite in the world since it is in time. But we just argued that human beings also have a faculty of reason, and it is outside of time. Indeed, Kant argued that in logic, the series of causes has a first cause. Since all logical demonstrations or necessary arguments must begin from necessary premises and reach a conclusion.